Evans tries an O level. The summary of this chapter I am going to tell you today. This chapter is written by Colin Dexter. In March, the Secretary of the Examinations Board receives a call from the governor at Oxford Prison asking if one of his prisoners can take the final exam in O level German. James Roderick Evans is a jovial, congenital kleptomaniac who has escaped from various prisons 3 times. Though the governor is determined to not let that happen at Oxford Prison. The governor and the secretary decide that Evans will take the test in his own cell and that they will get a parson to be the invigilator. Parson is the reverend, जिसको हम हिंदी में कह सकते हैं पादरी. At 8:45 a.m. one morning in June, Reverend Stott McLeary makes his way to Oxford Prison, where he is scheduled to invigilate a 2-hour exam at 9:15 a.m. The pronunciation of scheduled is scheduled. When McLeary arrives, the senior prison officer Jackson searches his suitcase. The officer is baffled by a strange semi-inflated rubber ring that looks like a child's pool toy. McLeary irritably explains that it's a special cushion he sits on because of his hemorrhoid problem. Embarrassed, Jackson apologizes and sends the invigilator back to Evans' cell. After that, the final begins at 9:25 a.m. The examinations board calls the governor, the assistant secretary with a special responsibility for modern languages, explains that some fool forgot to include a correction slip in the envelope with the other exam materials. The governor wonders if the call is a fake but tells himself not to be silly. Since Evans' cell has been bugged, the governor listens in as McLeary reads out the corrections. Meanwhile, Stephens peer into the peephole of Evans' cell every few minutes. At one point, he is surprised to see a blanket draped over Evans' shoulders. Stephens wonders if there is a kind of slight irregularity he should report, but reasons that it is cold in the prison. At 11:20 a.m., McLeary informs Evans that there are only 5 minutes remaining. 2 minutes later, Jackson receives a call from the governor asking for Stephens to escort McLeary out of the prison when the exam is over. When Stephen escorts the man out, he observes that the minister's Scottish accent seems broader than ever and that he seems thinner than before. तो यहाँ पर मैं आप लोग को एक चीज़ बताना चाहूँगी कि वो थिनर यहाँ पर क्यों दिख रहा था, क्योंकि वो 2 ड्रेस पहन के आया था. आपका जो इन्विजिलेटर था वो 2 ड्रेस पहन के आया था. फाइनली वो क्या करता है, एक ड्रेस इवांस को दे देता है और एक ड्रेस पहनकर वो बाहर जाता है. दैट इज वाई हियर इट इज रिटन दैट द इन्विजिलेटर ही सीम्स थिनर देन बिफोर. Once McLeary is gone, Stephens returns to Evans' cell. There is McLeary sprawled out and covered in blood. Chaos and confusion ensues everywhere and the governor arrives on the scene. McLeary feebly thrusts the German question paper into his hand. There on the last page of the question paper, it's cleverly imposed photocopied sheet instructing Evans about how to escape. After having Detective Superintendent Carter take McLeary to the hospital, the governor berates Stephens for ignorantly letting the criminal go free. But he stutters that he was only following the governor's orders. The governor screams that he never gave Stephens those orders. The call was a fake. The governor calls the hospital to check up on McLeary, but the hospital says they don't have any patient named McLeary. Suddenly, the governor realizes his mistakes. It had not been Evans impersonating McLeary who had walked out, or it had been Evans impersonating McLeary who had stayed in. हिंदी में एक्सप्लेनेशन इस तरीके से है कि वह इवांस नहीं था जो मैक्लीरी के भेष में जेल से बाहर गया. वह इवांस था मैक्लीरी के भेष में जो सेल के अंदर ही रह गया. Okay, so it had not been Evans impersonating McLeary who had walked out, or it had been Evans impersonating McLeary who had stayed in. तो impersonating का मतलब होता है उसके भेस में. 15 minutes later, they find the real McLeary gagged and bound at his flat in Broad Street. जो असली वाला मैकलेरी था वह अपने ही कमरे में बंद पाया गया ब्रॉड स्ट्रीट में. जो रियल आपका पार्सन जो इन्विजिलेटर आने वाला था. After a pleasant dinner, Evans returns to the Golden Lion Hotel. He thinks about how the fake McLeary had worn two of everything, two clerical shirts, two clerical collars and two coats. And Evans had managed to wiggle his disguise underneath the grey blanket. और किस तरीके से Evans ने उस blanket को लिया और उस blanket के अंदर उसने अपना ड्रेस पूरा चेंज किया. Evans enters his hotel room and instantly freezes. वो freeze क्यों हो गया, वो एकदम ही चौकन्ना क्यों रह गया, क्योंकि उसने सामने क्या देखा. Sitting on the bed is the governor in the hotel room. Realizing he can't escape, Evans begins telling the governor about his scheme, about his plan. He explains that the most important part was the fake call to Stephens in the last 3 minutes of the exam, which gave Evans and McLeary time to use pig's blood. तो from where did they bring that pig's blood? वो लोग बूचड़ खाने से लेके आए थे वो pig's blood जिसको हम कहते हैं slaughter house, and which was concealed in McLeary's semi-inflated rubber ring. A silent prison officer handcuffs Evans and loads him into a prison van. Evans asks if the governor knows any other modern languages. He noticed that the prison was offering O-level Italian in September. The governor says that Evans might not be at Oxford prison come September. Evans agrees that the governor might be right. The governor watches the van pull away. When the van reaches the main road, again the silent prison officer, he hurriedly unlocks Evans' handcuffs and snaps at the driver to drive faster, as it won't take them long to find out. In a thick Scottish accent, the driver asks where they should make for, and Evans suggests Newbury. Finally, Evans escapes again. Thank you.